My husband used to have a saying. He'd say, I wouldn't take $1 million for either one of my kids, but I wouldn't give you a nickel for a busload just like them. My husband and I used to ride Harleys, and on my husband's Harley helmet there's a sticker that reads, having children is like being plucked to death by a chicken. Yeah, I think we've all felt that way at one time or another. Hi, my name is Georgette Cluck, and I'm a mother. I'd like to tell you a story. It's not a happy story, but it's one that could save the life of your child. I love kids, I always have. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I was the oldest of 31st cousins. It was the job of the oldest cousins, like me, to take care of the youngest. I carried them around when they were almost as big as I was. I even loved changing their diapers. I had my first child when I was only 20 years old. Her name is Nicole. When I was 23, I met my husband Charlie. He was a widower, and he had a son by the name of Brian who was 4 years old. I always considered Brian a gift from his mother, and I raised him as if he were my very own son. Our family dynamics were and are not uncommon in today's society. In fact, we were probably a lot less complicated than some. Our children were raised in a beautiful Miami community. They went to the best private schools and grew up with the same friends from the time they started kindergarten. They hung out at the community center, swam at the community pool. By the time they were in middle school, as parents, we had grown up with their friends just as they had. When our son Brian was in his early teens, he and his friends started to experiment with alcohol. Then they started smoking a little pot. There were about 10 boys in their group. They hung around with each other all the time. They were in and out of the house, polite kids from good homes. They were smart, popular, and they were cool. One day, someone brought some powder into this group and encouraged them to smoke it in their marijuana. They resisted at first, but after some prodding, they smoked it. The powder was heroin. Our son struggled with a heroin addiction for about 13 years. During this struggle, my husband and I tried every tactic imaginable to reach him. Intervention, rehabilitation, letters, more letters, appealing to him to come back to us. We so missed the drug-free Brian. The drug-free Brian had an edge, a great sense of humor. He didn't do harmful things to others. He wasn't defensive. He was sensitive. He was patient, responsible, and reliable. He was happy most of the time, and he seldom got sick. The son before me was distant, easily agitated, indifferent, and unhealthy. Sometimes I thought we were breaking through, and I would see that old spark in his eye and think, maybe he's really kicking it. He tried. He really did. But after so many years, the drugs had the best of his mind and body. His soul wasn't strong enough to overcome. I think he actually lost his space in time. He had been a drug addict for so long, he didn't know how to go from being 15 to being 28 years old. He was no longer comfortable in his own skin. He would promise me over and over, I'll get better, Mama. But he just couldn't do it. Our son died of a heroin overdose July 16, 2004. He was 28 years old. Of those 10 boys, 3 are dead from drug overdose. 3 still have severe addiction problems, and 4 are leading normal lives. As to how normal, you'd have to ask them. They suffer every day with the challenges of addiction. Miami child psychologist Dr. Polyakov will tell you that most teenagers spend an average of 25 minutes a day with their parents. This is probably one of the reasons we didn't even suspect our son had an addiction problem until he was in his early 20s. After Brian passed away, I started to ask myself where we had gone wrong. When did we start to lose him? Well, I can't pinpoint any one specific thing. I can think of dozens of things I wish I had done differently. I know I can't bring my son back, but I'm hoping that by sharing my story, I can give you some insight into some of those things, and just maybe I can help prevent this from happening to your child. If I can help prevent any of you from suffering the same loss, it will be an honor to the memory of our son. I've been asking many parents of children if they speak to their children about drugs. I'm talking kids 3, 4, 5 years of age. The parents' response is understandable, but nonetheless unsettling. How dark, or oh my, how depressing. Yeah, you're right. It is depressing. But sticking our head in the sand is not going to prevent your child from trying drugs. The younger we start to foster in our children the education necessary to create boundaries, build self-esteem, and educate against the dangers in today's society, the safer our children are going to be. Life is so complicated today. We not only have to worry about what happens within our own household, we have to worry about the internet, the stranger down the street, bullies in school, and the tender psyches of our children. I started by saying I love children. Loving our children is not enough. We have to love them really, really well. When we don't know or we're unsure about handling behavior issues, we need to find the answers. In order for our children to reach their full potential, we must find the answers. Now, no one can be a perfect parent. Most times we parent the way we were taught by our parents. Some of you have had the advantage of wonderful parenting, and you have that wisdom to draw upon. We need your help. We need you to share your insight. If parents rally together and educate themselves on issues concerning their children, it will help the parent community establish a basis for expectations from each other and from their children. With one another's support, we can give our children a better foundation, a better community, and a better chance at a safe and healthy life. I pray that each person listening to me walks away with a renewed urgency and awareness, a commitment to foster better communication with your children and consistent communication with other parents. My father taught me, a wise man learns from another's mistakes. This is my son, Brian. Brian was a good kid. He made some bad choices. One of those choices changed the course of his life. It takes a village to save a child. We need everyone to help in the war on drugs. It's never too late. I plead with you to get involved. Let's offer a better tomorrow to our children, a drug-free tomorrow. Please, let's start today.